Brothers, our sermon today is about the great miracle of the night journey of our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam from Mecca to Jerusalem. It is one of the greatest miracles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed and graced His Prophet with, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Textually, this great miracle of Al-Isra is authentic and proven beyond a shred of a doubt, for it has been mentioned in the Quran and in the authentic hadiths, sayings of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and proven through the consensus of the scholars of Islam. Therefore, the scholars of Islam have deemed non-Muslim the one who negates and refuses and objects to the miracle of the night journey of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. When this miracle happened, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam was in the house of Hani bint Abi Talib, the daughter of Abu Talib. And an opening in the house formed by the will of Allah, and angel Jibreel descended, and he opened the chest of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam without hurting him or harming him, and he washed the contents of the insides of the chest of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam with Zamzam water, and then a golden container he had brought with him, the content of which was poured into the Prophet's chest sallallahu alayhi wasallam, adding to his certainty, to his yaqeen and to his iman sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and preparing him for the night journey and the ascension to the seven skies. Jibreel came with an animal called Al-Buraq from Al-Jannah, and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam mounted Al-Buraq, and then he traveled with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam from where they were in Mecca to Al-Madinah, and then to Tur Sinai, to the Mount of Sinai, and as well to Bethlehem, where Prophet Jesus was born. And they ended up in Jerusalem. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam entered the mosque, and he prayed Imam with all the prophets of Allah, as Allah had gathered them previously before his arrival in the mosque of Al-Aqsa. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam saw many things on his night journey. From amongst the things he saw was the grave, the tomb of the lady who was a maid who was in charge of combing the hair of the daughter of the Pharaoh. And when she was going about her chores, the comb fell off, and she wanted to pick it up, and she said, "With the name of Allah, I pick it up." And the daughter of the Pharaoh turned around and looked at her and said, "Do you have a Lord and a God other than my dad?" And she said, "Yes, my Lord and the Lord of your father is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." And to that, the daughter was very upset. She went and told her father, the Pharaoh, and when the Pharaoh came, she refused to leave off her iman, her Islam. So he prepped for her some boiling water, and he started chucking her children one after the other, until he got to a nursing, feeding baby that she was carrying. And there Allah Ta'ala made that little newborn speak. And he said, "Oh mother, do not worry and hang on. For the torture of Al-Akhirah in the hereafter is much, much, much more grave, serious, and painful than the torture of this dunya. Keep on, because you are on the right path." And then he threw her, and he threw her newborn. And the flesh used to melt of the bones. The bones were gathered, and from that tomb, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his night journey smelt that wonderful scent that fragrance that came out from the grave. And that's the story of that woman and that grave and the reason why the scent was coming out. Also the Prophet ﷺ saw people whom heads would be cracked open by hitting them, and then they would turn again as they were, and then they would be smashed and cracked open, and then they would go back, and so on and so forth. And Jibreel told the Prophet ﷺ, these are the people who feel that the heads are too heavy to be lifted to go and perform the prayers. And the advice that we must learn from these two stories as Muslims is to remain patient and steadfast on the path of Islam and the path of the truth. Not only that, we also learn to cling on to the prayers. The prayers are your guiding light. The prayers are your saviors from falling into sins. The prayers are the method by which you stay in line with the religion. And the prayers are one of the greatest obligations upon you after believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So do not leave off the prayers. And I did mention to you in Arabic an advice, since we're coming towards the holidays, all the students should keep with the prayers. Not only in the holidays, even every day when you go back home, what you should be doing is praying Asr and Maghrib and Isha. Do not leave off the prayers. They keep us together as a community. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.